Hello and welcome to your Niagara News headlines for Monday, September the 10th, provided by Bullet News Niagara. I'm Jim Diodati, filling in for Andy Sylvester, who is on assignment. Let's start things off with a check on the weather, brought to you by Niagara Battery and Tire, the #1 choice for your tire, battery, and automotive needs in the Niagara Peninsula. We have some nice weather ahead in the forecast. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 13. For Tuesday, mainly sunny, a high of 24. On Wednesday, sunny, a low of 17 with a high of 27. On Thursday, sunny, a low of 17 and a high of 29. And finally on Friday, cloudy, a 60% chance of showers, a low of 19 and a high of 23. Let's turn now to some of your top local headlines. First, more grim discoveries of body parts as police on both sides of the border continue their investigation into the murder of 30-year-old Niagara Falls, New York woman Loretta Jo Gates, whose torso was found in the lower Niagara River 2 weeks ago. The latest discovery was made by a visitor to Hyde Park in Niagara Falls, New York on Sunday, which follows the recovery of partial arm and legs from the lower Niagara River on Thursday. At this time, it's not known if the remains belong to Gates, a mother of 3, who was last seen on August 25th and whose torso was identified after DNA testing. Police do not suspect foul play after a body was recovered from Martindale Pond in St. Catharines yesterday afternoon and said in a statement that no further information would be released. The male's body was spotted at about 2 p.m. during a regatta on the Henley course and was investigated by Niagara Regional Police Detectives, the Forensic Services Unit, the Marine Unit, and the coroner. 2 people were arrested on impaired driving charges during a ride Blitz in St. Catharines Friday. Niagara Regional Police say they stopped about 500 vehicles during their latest enforcement effort, which focused on the downtown area. 2 other drivers were charged with failing to provide a breath sample and another for alleged impairment due to drugs. To Marineland now, where allegations are now being leveled about the diet and conditions of its land animals. Casual brutality when animals need to be put down was common, as well as substandard enclosures, according to Jim Hammond, the past land animal care supervisor, who resigned last year after the brutal death of a deer at the facility. Hammond said the deer's foreleg was badly broken and it had to be killed, and he requested to Marineland owner John Holler that it be euthanized. Holler refused, however, and instead shot the animal and then drove off, badly wounding it but not killing it, leaving Hammond to finish the job himself with a knife. Other instances of brutality were apparent. For the full write-up, please go to bulletnewsniagara.ca. More than 60 people were stranded when the Whitewater Gorge elevator became disabled yesterday afternoon, and the Niagara Parks Police high-angle river team were called in. The elevator had just reached the boardwalk level when a door position sensor malfunctioned. The repair time of the elevator necessitated the evacuation of the boardwalk using a gas-powered Alpine railway called a monorack before the elevator was restored. All parties were returned to the street level without an injury a couple of hours later. Niagara Parks Commission Chairwoman Janice Thompson said they follow a strict maintenance schedule and all the proper procedures were followed for the rescue. Okay, more news in a moment. Hello and welcome back. Well, there's a lot to see and do in the Niagara region, and one unique way to check things out is on a 2-wheeled Segway. Recently, Andy Sylvester got a chance to visit Henry of Pelham Winery in St. Catharines with Joyce Morocco to tour the property with Niagara Segway. Let's take a look.
Segway is known as a PT or a personal transportation device. I'm here at Henry of Pelham. I'm going to go on a tour with Niagara Segway, take a look at the vineyard, and find out a little bit more about this fun way of getting around. Let's take a look.
A Segway is called a Segway PT, and that's a personal transporter. And all you do is stand on it. It self-balances. And all you do, if you want to go forward, you lean forward. If you want to go backward, you lean backwards. It started last year. And I used one at work. When I was working, I used one in the factory to get around, and it was just a lot of fun to drive. So I thought when I retired, I'd just buy a couple more and sit by the locks and read a book, and anybody wanted to go for a ride, I'd take them for a ride. It kind of exploded into more and more, so instead of just having a couple of Segways, I had to start a regular tourism business. We did start at the Welland Canal. We're based out of the St. Catharines Museum in the Welland Canal Centre. And there we have 3 tours. We have a 2-kilometer tour, we have a 5-kilometer tour that goes to the top of the escarpment, and we have a 9-kilometer that goes right to Lock 7. So then we go past the murals painted on the back of the buildings there, which are Canada's largest hand-painted murals. They're 20,000 square feet, and they're very impressive. Where the canal began in 1824 up to where it is today. We also have one down in Port Dalhousie that goes through Rennie Park and across the new bridge at the Henry Regatta. We go across that bridge a couple of times and all through JC's Park. And now also we've spread out into the wineries, and we have 3 vineyard tours that we do now. They're just so much fun to ride. They really are. Nobody gets off and says, oh, I hated it. Everybody just loves it. And most times they just say, you know, can I keep this? Do I have to get off? You know, they're just so much fun to ride. And naturally the speed that you can travel, you can see a lot more on the tours. And like I said, we stop to explain things and what people are looking at. So as tourists come into the area, and a lot of locals as well, they learn a lot, and we get to travel over a lot farther distance than you could if you were walking, that's for sure. It measures the direction of the wind, and it measures the amount of rainfall that's given in any given time, and their computer system is updated every 15 minutes. All the drains, all the water in the vineyard that goes into the ground, into the tiles, are run into these bioponds. Water actually is cleaner going out of here than what is falling right now. Every time they find a piece of rock, they put it here, and then you can see how they try to match them together.
And that wraps up today's headlines. I'm Jim Diodati for Bullet News Niagara. Have a good night.